everyone, this is Kendall Jackson, and this is my Prompt 1 presentation. Alright, so question 1 was the question that asked about the standards that we are using, and I chose to use the math standard for first grade, and it's the one that it says explains the relationship between addition and subtraction, and apply the properties of operations to solve real-life addition and subtraction problems within 20. And hold on, let me put this in present. Sorry, guys. And the substandard I used was use a variety of strategies to solve addition and subtraction problems within 20. The second subject area standard I chose was the ELA reading for my phonics, and it was to demonstrate understanding of spoken word syllables and sounds, phonemes. And it had 4 parts. A, distinguish long from short vowel sounds in single spoken syllable words. B, orally produce single syllable words by blending sounds, including consonant blends. C, isolate and pronounce initial medial vowel and final sounds in spoken single syllable words. And D was segment spoken single syllable words into their complete sequence of individual sounds. And then it wanted us to provide a brief description of the content students should know after instruction and what teachers must know before they can instruct students successfully. So after instruction in math, students should know how to solve addition and subtraction problems using a variety of strategies. The students will understand the importance of addition and subtraction in real life as well. The knowledge a teacher must possess to instruct the students successfully is how to best teach students how to solve addition and subtraction by using different strategies, so having those different strategies ready for them. And after instruction in reading and phonics, students should know the meaning of spoken words and the sound and syllables that make up each of the words. And the teacher must possess the knowledge to instruct students successfully by knowing how to break down words and how to do it in a way that engages students. And the references I used were the Georgia Standards of Excellence, and here's my 2 references. All right, question 2. It wanted us to provide a definition for differentiation and explain pedagogical importance of differentiation to meet the needs of all learners. So differentiation is instruction by a teacher to students that fit each level of learning that the students are at. It is challenging each student at their level of learning to further their academic success. And according to the Center for Student Achievement Solutions, differentiated instruction is important because it helps to ensure that all students have opportunity to learn and succeed. By providing students with instruction that is tailored to their unique needs, teachers can help to close the achievement gap and ensure that all students are able to reach their full potential. So this means that as their teacher, we have to differentiate so that they're given the opportunity to learn and to grow. If we tailor our instruction to their needs, they will get more out of the lesson. The next part was clarify your understanding of pedagogical content knowledge and how you as a teacher demonstrate it in your classroom. So I believe that pedagogical content knowledge is how a teacher implements the content standards and the methods they do it by. For instance, the different types of differentiation, whether that be small groups, through games, online, or through technology. I believe that I demonstrate this in my classroom by how I differentiate my small groups and lessons. I try not to do the same activities every week so that they are intrigued in their learning activities. This helps them to be engaged and excited in their learning as well. I group certain students together strategically based on their levels of learning. Sometimes I will pair low learners with the high learners in my class, so they can help each other out, or sometimes I group them based off of similarities in their levels of learning, like in my small groups, so I can work with each set of learners, more closely. And this is my works cited page for this question. Question 3, it told us to choose 2 to 3 approaches to instruction and provide definitions based on the literature of what it looks like in the classroom. So I did 2 approaches, and my first one was modeling, and my second one was hands-on. And I chose modeling because this is a strategy that helps visual learners and gives students examples of what they're learning, and I personally learn better that way. And according to an article I read, according to Barak Rosenshine, writer of Principles of Instruction, research-based strategies that all teachers should know, students need cognitive support to help them learn to solve problems. It also states that teacher modeling and thinking aloud while demonstrating how to solve a problem are examples of effective cognitive support. So students will not know your expectations or what to do if you do not model it for them. I chose hands-on learning as well because this helps our kinesthetic learners and lets students experience what they are learning and grasp a stronger understanding of the concept. I personally learn this way as well, so that's part of the reason why I chose it. And so, according to an article that I read, hands-on learning allows students to learn through experience and lets them immerse themselves in a learning environment. Hands-on learning also allows students to put their newly acquired skills to use. Students get to be more in charge of their learning with this strategy. This allows them to practice what they've learned, to grasp a better understanding of the concept being taught. These are supported by the best practices in instruction because they both help to make a student's academic career grow and advance. The next part to this question was using these approaches to instruction. Explain how you prepare learning opportunities for students at all academic levels to be successful. So, using the modeling strategy, I would prepare learning opportunities for my students of all levels by demonstrating the task in multiple different ways so that the different types of learners all have a good grasp. I will introduce topics in different ways such as think alouds and peer teaching. Using the hands-on strategy, I would prepare learning opportunities for students of all levels by creating fun activities to go along with our lessons and so that the students can practice what we have learned and what they just learned. And this also lets them get experience with that topic. And they can do this either by manipulatives or even games sometimes. So I would just have a variety of activities for them to choose from. The next part was what strategies do you utilize for monitoring student learning and managing behaviors while recognizing active learning? So the strategies I utilize for monitoring student learning and managing behaviors while recognizing active learning would be both modeling and hands-on learning. I use modeling to help guide my students in the correct direction of learning while also seeing if they are actively listening to me during instructional time. If they understand the content after I modeled it, they were actively engaged. I use hands-on learning to help my students practice the content they have learned and grasp a stronger understanding while also using the hands-on learning activities to determine whether the students were behaving and actively listening to the lessons I taught them. So if a student does not know how to do the activity that was modeled and they ask a question that you already shared the answer to during your modeling, the student will not have been as engaged in the hands-on activity because they don't really know what they're doing because they didn't pay attention. A strategy I use to help manage behavior would be to reward the students who are doing the right thing, to help encourage the students who need some reminders of how to act. So at my school, we use scout tickets to reward students to students following the classroom and school rules and procedures. And they're basically like little red papers, and it's kind of like a fake money, I guess, per se you could say, but it's a little red piece of paper. It says scout ticket. And there's my works cited page for question 3. Question 4, this is the demonstrate your application of these approaches to teaching. This is my evidence. And so this first video over here was a picture of me doing my Heggerty lesson with my class. And this was practicing the ELA reading standard. And this was a picture of me, or not a picture, a video of me during my small group time. And this was with actually my lower group of students. And we were practicing what we had actually learned in phonics previous weeks. And it was just using manipulatives to help them see how to sound out a word and put it together. I will let you watch those at your time. That was actually for the modeling strategy. And then for hands-on learning, my 2 work samples and evidence would be, so I had students solve addition and subtraction problems using different strategies. I gave them the problem, which in this example, it was 5 plus 9 equals blank. And I told the students they could solve this problem anyway. They could use the count-on strategy. They could use the manipulatives, which is what this student did. He used erasers. Or they could use a number line. So this student chose to use the manipulative. So he showed 5 erasers plus 9 erasers equals 14 erasers. And then the student on the right, this was in our math small groups, and he was practicing the counting back strategy. So this was with subtraction. So they had a problem and they had the number, for example, A, it was 9 minus 2. So there was the number 9 and there was 2 blank clouds behind it. And their job was to figure out the 2 numbers that came before, which would give them their answer to the subtraction problem. So part B of question 4, my areas of strength. I believe, based on my evidence of the strategy hands-on learning, that this is a strong teaching aspect of mine. I feel like it is easier for me to create hands-on learning for math standards versus reading and phonics standards. I learn better hands-on, therefore I feel it is easier for me to teach. And some areas of needed improvement. So I believe, based on my evidence of the strategy of modeling, that I could work to improve this skill with my students. I know that modeling is very important, especially for younger students, and it was not as easy to provide as much evidence for this strategy as the other. I need to do a better job at modeling concepts in a variety of ways for my students so they can be as successful as they possibly can. So this is my evidence justification. So the evidence for the modeling strategy justifies above level learners and struggling learners because they get to see what is expected of them and then they can try themselves. The phonics lesson on the carpet would benefit higher level learners because they can do this in their head and they challenge themselves to swap the sounds out and make new words. The small group lesson where I modeled how to practice spelling words and by sounding out would help my lower level learners because they can visually see how I put together the sounds, put together the letter sounds, and then they could practice this multiple times so they could get repetition. The evidence for the hands-on learning strategy justifies above-level learners and struggling learners because it allows the above-level learners to challenge themselves and be creative. It allows the struggling learners to be able to spend more time working on parts that they need extra help and practice on. Specifically, the higher level learners could help solve the math problem I provided in multiple ways and not just with the mini erasers. The lower level learners would benefit from the counting back strategy because it visually helps them see that they are counting backwards. And that is all for my prompt 1 presentation. Thank you for watching.